Another chapter, another reading of suffering that comes from Chainsaw Man. As this has been, we knew that there were going to be stories and prophecies, coming up in this arc that I think everyone was very nervous about when the future devil, talked about how the Aki was going to die the worst death, that they were going to essentially die from, Aki and Power essentially going to die because of Denji, and then after that, the devil that all the other devils fear most was going to make an appearance. And then after that point, we got to see some of the other devils that Makima has under her control. We see Beam and Power, their heads, but we also get Prince and Angel, and then this other guy Seraphim. There's a bunch of characters that we've either seen or not seen, pretty easily able to round up. I'm wondering if the one that has the 4 eyes, is that it kind of looks like the Violence Fiend, but I can't really tell because we never really saw him without the mask except for the once. Either way, having all of the followers of Makima all lined up and just kind of getting again further a feel of her presence and everything going on, and her just kind of leading Denji along, and she's talking about the day of resurrection. And I think after this chapter and then stuff like this, what we know about the chainsaw, there's definitely a couple key bits of information about the chainsaw and Pochita that we don't know about. We still don't know how did he get injured when he right before Denji first met him. But I think a lot of that information is getting ready to be revealed. We're gonna find out more about the chainsaw, and then again, we already have a lot of ominous stuff about him, and clearly the chainsaw is important. So to what degree, we don't know. We just kind of have to wait and see on that ground. But one, Makima's getting ready. You just have all these guys, attack him. You got Kishibe. He's leading this Makima defense force, sort of set up against it, shooting a rocket directly into her apartment, and then just having a bunch of guys rush in, gun her down, and then trying to get everything ready in the hopes of stopping her. And the thing is, Kishibe knows they can't kill her permanently, but they can send her back to hell. And I'm wondering if she goes back to hell, what is that gonna essentially kind of get in their situation in their favor? Maybe the other devils will end up keeping Makima there. Maybe because Makima's over here, part of her scheme and why she's way more careful is because she knows that there are devils that would go against her, like what we saw with the Darkness Devil. That the second Makima gets sent there, they're gonna end up kind of retaliating against her, and then we don't know how many there are, and we don't know the full kind of connected lore between devils interactions. We only know so much about the devils, that the primordial ones, the ones that have just kind of always existed, way more ancient, all this clearly very important stuff that right now is just hidden behind the mystery of the manga. But what we do have essentially in this one is part of their intent. When Kishibe says that they're going to cast her back into hell, they're trying to get rid of her, trying to get her away. And then Makima, dropping the name of the series, she tells she says, save me, Chainsaw Man. And then Denji's stomach rips open his intestines, and he gets a scarf right across his an intestine scarf essentially across his his neck and dangling behind him. And the one thing that I knew that this series would have in terms of for a shonen is that eventually Denji would get some form of power-up form. He would get some form of upgrade, some form of just evolved being of what he's had before. He's gonna have to get more powerful, gonna get more just encroached in his chainsaw powers. And here we have him up against the Hell Devil. Now, the Hell Devil, I've had the theory that the Hell Devil was the strongest devil. I thought it was going to end up being the top, if not near the top, but we still don't know. This is because I feel across religions that, despite, which one it is, hell would just be one of those very, very common fears. But I mean, like, I guess like it still would be a lot newer than something like Darkness or anything, again, Primal Fears. It was, to me, it was like down to other, like, oh, well, something like Dominance, like the Control Devil, that is, you know, it's a much newer kind of thing. And, well, I guess kind of like Control is still like a concept that goes way further back than Religion, but still, I don't know, Hell still being very, like, formidable. And then obviously, like, his design looks really cool. It's like this weird demonic centaur. And I like that its legs aren't really like hooves when it has almost the centaur design. It's like these weird tendrils. I think that looks badass. And the fact he's on fire to give that hellish kind of design to it, it just looks really, really interesting. But at that point, Denji, you know, he's still got this intestines like wrapped around his throat. I'm still like really curious of like why that's got to be part of like his form, like when it comes to Mikima's control over people. We saw already like when she was shot in the head and she had like that slithering piece of brain like come out and become a halo, and we've seen like the connections when she when she's linked up to people. But I'm curious to know like what about this is like in like relation to Denji's like increased form, and like how far is this form in comparison to the full version? Like, is this even the full version of like the chainsaw, or is this just closer to what it's going to be? Because Denji looks badass. One, he looks much bigger, I will say, because like if you go and look at the Hell Devil, like it looks like a person is probably like the size of one of his arms, if not like smaller. Like he looks pretty big. And Denji, like, is up to, like, probably close to his torso. I would say probably up, like, close to, like, his, maybe his, like, the upper portion of his chest if he was standing straight up. Like, Denji looks a lot bigger in this form. He looks thicker, too. Like, his arms are jacked. You know, he's got an extra set of arms. Now, he's got 5 chainsaws, though, which might do away with my whole idea that, you know, the chainsaw is, like, this almost Cerberus kind of style, but instead, you know, it's like mitigating the doubles in Hell. Who knows? There's still so many mysteries along this series we you know that we haven't really touched on. We still don't know what specifically the chainsaw like has to him that makes him so special that all these other characters want the chainsaw. We don't know what's the relationship between the chainsaw and the gun devil. When we don't know, like, how many primal devils there are, you know, what exactly, like, caused them to, you know, have beef with Mikima. Why does Mikima need the chainsaw? Like, there's, again, so many mysteries still left within this series. And even in a chapter like this, where it was actually really fast to read, because, like, there's not a lot of dialogue this chapter. Like, the most dialogue is, like, what, on the page where you find out, like, the names of some of the followers of Mikima's people. The rest of it is really fast-paced and just really, really jarring. It's all set up just to kind of make you go, holy shit. Like, it's a big revealed chapter, but also a big setup chapter, and I really am hyped to see more. I'm always excited to read Chainsaw Man. And, like, right now, when we're starting, like, a new portion of the story, it's just like, well, where does this lead if this is the beginning? If this is the beginning of the next part of Chainsaw Man, and then, like, where, you know, what's next on the agenda? Where is this going to lead to? And what exactly is, like, the level of chaos and severity and just all around, like cataclysm that's, like, to come? If this is the start. If this is the start of this series. And I'm really excited. I can't wait to find out more. I really want to explore the other devils, because I really like Fujimoto's, like, monster designs. I really like the designs and, like, the way that he draws the devils and stuff. Like, the Darkness Devil just looks so scary, and knowing that all these other like primal devils are all going to be based off of, like, these, again, like, fears that humans have always had, like, just in living, like, again, the darkness. And the way that, like, their designs are going to play into it, the fact that they're all going to, like, obviously be absurdly terrifying and have the you know, these unique presences. Like, I still think the Darkness Devil has one of my favorite introductions of any, like, real, like, I don't even want to say villain, just the characters in general in, like, manga. It's just such a weird way to, like, bring a character about, and, like, the entire actions that that followed with it was just so cool, and I really want to see more of these primal devils. I really like Fujimoto's style. He's just strange, and you can't ever really tell what he's gonna do, and he's able to construct that in the series so well, and so I'm really hyped to see where this is all going. And I'm really glad that you can't really predict what he's doing, just because it makes it so much more crazy when you have chapters like this. Because Denji's got to get free. He's not just going to be some mindless kind of creature for the rest of the series. I also noticed that this form, doesn't look like he has eyes, so I'm wondering if, maybe he has to get, get the ability to kind of, see for himself back in order to, shake off Mikima's control. So, we'll see. Definitely looking forward to what's to come. Like I've said, I don't mean to say it as much as I do. I just am genuinely really hyped, and I'd like to see just what exactly, maybe they'll both die. Is he gonna take down Mikima, and then they'll both go to hell, and then we'll get an arc in hell or something, and then maybe just see what it's like over there and see what these devils live like on their side of things. Because if all these devils are afraid of Denji, rather the chainsaw, then going back over there, I think, can provide a lot of insight into the differences between, oh well, what are these devils kind of live like? What exactly is their everyday routine going to kind of present? Because we can tell that, we don't know if it's specifically fiends, but we did see with the Angel Devil that there is a level that they can become caring and they can become human-like, and just like how there are good humans and bad humans, there are good devils and bad devils. We just it's just probably there's probably way more bad devils than good devils. We just got to see what they're like, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I always look forward to Chainsaw Man. I can't wait to see when it gets an anime. That's gonna be absurd. People are gonna go ape shit over this. So other than that, comment below. Like I said, it was a really fast chapter, but there was still a lot to talk about outside of that. Anyway, comment below, thumbs up the video, click on the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. Other than that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.